off.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is a toll-free number. Guys, I've been asked a lot, and by the way, happy Friday. I know it's a big deal for a lot of people, the thank God it's Friday bullshit. In my view, if you have to thank God that it's Friday, you need to figure out something else to do with your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
The last time I felt that way, I was in high school.
Yeah, you never really worked a 9 to 5. You've always been an entrepreneur.
So what are you saying? I've never had a job?
You've never had... No, you've had a job, just not a real job.
I worked in a nightclub.
No, I know you did.
I worked in a nightclub for a while in college, but I sold. I was a direct marketer on the phone for a short period of time while I was, doing my entrepreneurial stuff. But yeah, I started in business for myself essentially at the age of 19.
Right. I, however, worked. God, I worked so many jobs when I was younger. Like right out of high school, even in high school, doing the bag boy thing at the grocery store, working, fry cook at Long John Silver's.
I didn't know high school counted. By the way, I fucking love Long John Silver's. If you want some really,
I loved it.
Yeah, until you worked there.
But today, I don't know if I could even the best coleslaw you can get anywhere, and that fish. Oh my God.
I don't even think
amazing.
It was fish. I don't know what it was, but it was so good.
But today, oh my God, I'd probably, I don't know, I don't know what I would do with all that grease because there's a lot of grease in that stuff. But yeah, and then on into bartending and waiting tables, and then actual sitting behind a desk 9 to 5 kind of job didn't happen until I was 27 years old. So I didn't have that thank God it was Friday mentality until I was in my late 20s, mid to late 20s.
And then it was
then I understood.
Yeah. Well, I think the best part, in my view, living through that, people who have that mentality, is going out on Friday nights. Because when I was younger, it was like the entire secretarial pool, which I don't even think exists anymore, would be hanging out at TJIF Fridays, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And you get a couple of drinks into these girls. You get a couple of drinks into these girls on a Friday, and we were all enjoying ourselves.
Everyone was having a good time.
But it's a different mentality. Anyway, I don't even know why that... I know why I brought that up because I said, thank God it's Friday. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. I want to say we had a killer UK show today. And by the way, I do the UK show. It's on with Spencer Stevens and Specs. It is, as Specs would say, housed on apetoGentleman.com. They essentially air the program on their website. It's a great men's grooming website in the UK. We get a ton of traffic. And we had 2 calls today, which we only do about an hour, that were just incredibly compelling. And one, I think you'll be interested in hearing this, Joe. It was a guy that ended up going to see Dr. Zarev after being in a hairpiece for over 10 years, learning, a guy from Sweden, learning about, the process, considering hair transplant surgery the entire time. And by the way, he was a successful hair wearer, got married, had children, lived his life, knew how to finesse it, felt very comfortable in it. But after he saw your video on YouTube,
Okay.
pointing out the work of Dr. Zarev in Bulgaria, it gave him the confidence to pick up that phone and to have that consultation. He had
Awesome.
7,000 grafts. He's 4 months out, and he says he already sees significant growth, and he's pretty happy.
See, I find that to be interesting. I mean, first off, good for him. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Dr. Zarev. Congratulations to you and Specs on taking such a wonderful call, I assume, because you said it was. What kills me about that is the video. I didn't even talk about Dr. Zarev.
Doesn't matter.
I was talking about another doctor. It was a year ago. A year ago next month, or actually a year ago next week. And the whole point was to talk about how the tool is only as good as the hand that wields it. And I was showing results from all these different clinics that use completely different, like polar opposite approaches from one to the next. And at the end, he was one of the last ones I showcased. And I wasn't, like, I didn't even mention I didn't even verbally speak his name. I just put a credit in a before and after, and people lost their damn minds.
But that's how it works. The thing is, you're not selling anything. You're providing all this information, even if it's about something else. Every tidbit of information is of value to somebody.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just the amount of value that particular video brought for a lot of people, not just to visit Dr. Zarev, but some other doctors that I don't work with. I was proving a point. It's like not just doctors I work with, but doctors I don't work with. Like look at, they can do good work with different kinds of approaches. Yeah, a lot of doctors I don't work with got a lot of mileage out of that video.
Yeah. But anyway,
but good for them. I mean, it's all about the truth.
But part of my point is that there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of guys who are watching the program who are in the UK right now, other parts of Europe, who try to call into the live show. They can't get in. You could always, I guess, you can contact us through either contact me through @SpencerKobren on Instagram or Specs on Instagram. What's his handle? I don't know. Is it @Spencer? @Specs Hair?
I don't know the but I think it's just type in Specs Hair in a search bar, and I think he's the first one.
Yeah.
And
if you want to get on the air,
but there's also his website, specshair.com.
Yeah, and if you want to get on the air, call in advance, and we'll set up the call to make sure that you're on. And that's it. But it's getting super, super busy. So I'm glad that we're able to provide that market, which the UK market, guys who are listening, you know it. Since I've been in this industry, that has been and continues to be, in my view, the most, in general, dangerous market in the entire field. It's dangerous on two levels now. Most of the doctors in the market, in my view, suck at what they do. And the market is really being targeted for, say that again?
Played.
Yeah, but played.
I think the market is being played. Yeah.
Played. I don't know what that means, but I know it's being targeted by the cosmetic surgery tourism companies.
Yes. Manipulated.
Targeted and manipulated.
I'm just putting, targeted, played, manipulated.
He's just adding all the possible
zeroed in on.
Yeah. In the crosshairs of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's interesting is I think during our show, like in the chat room, it's usually UK people that can't call in for some reason. So I'm glad that they're able to call you and Specs on the UK show. So that works out. It covers a hole in our access for that. I don't know why it exists, because people can call the UK number, but for some reason they have a hard time. So I'm glad that's there.
I think the hard time is I only have 6 lines, and once it rolls over, they don't even get a busy signal. They go right to voicemail. So they don't know if it's busy. They don't know what's going on. So, guys, just to let you know, if you're trying to call in and you're going to a voice system, that means that all the lines are lit. Like currently, they're all lit right now. Once we drop a line, I'll let you know, and you can try to call in, and there's a chance you'll get on the show. The phone number is 888-659-3727. Why don't we just get to the phones? I don't feel like talking about any of the industry bullshit that continues to proliferate in this cesspool of a field.
Let's do it.
It's a tough word for me. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Marie, and I'm calling from Washington.
Marie, wow, you were like
Hello, Marie.
You were like the 11th female caller in the last 20 years.
Really?
Welcome.
You're like, yay, caller. And I'm actually one of those people that's been trying to call and never get through. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I got through.
I'm so happy.
Exciting.
So where are you calling from?
Well, I'm calling from Washington.
Hey, Washington State. So what can I do for you, man? Well, I said, man.
Well,
you see that? You see, you're a woman, and right away I'm like, what can I do for you, man? I'm so used to talking to guys.
Your ears perk up. I know, right?
I personally would never do that to you, but.
Well, I just want to say thank you for your show because you've given me a lot of information. And there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, so I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh,
but
you're welcome.
I am a mother of a son. He's 17, and he started losing his hair at 13 years old. He was about in the 6th grade.
That's heavy, yeah. It's heavy.
Which is really young, so it was pretty terrifying.
It's young. It is young, but there is about 20% of hair loss sufferers, men, start to deal with it before the age of 21, and a much smaller percentage deal with it directly after puberty, but it does happen.
Yeah. Well, it definitely hit him right when he hit puberty, and so automatically, because it runs in our family, our genes, his dad doesn't have any hair, and both of his grandfathers don't have any hair, so automatically my husband was like, oh my God, he's losing his hair, like already. He's only in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I was like, no, that can't be. Like, he's way too young. Like, no. And so, of course, I took him to his pediatrician, and they kind of gave me the runaround. Didn't really know. They were kind of like, oh, I think it's maybe just hormonal right now, or is he washing his hair a lot, and what kind of shampoo is he using, or is he really stressed out, or is he scratching his scalp a lot, and none of those answers were yes. I was just like, no, he's not a stressed out kid. He's a really happy child, and to me, I was just like dumbfounded why he would be losing his hair so young.
Now, I have a question for you.
And so, of course, they did all this blood work. That was really expensive.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Was that what you were going to ask?
Of course.
Me? Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. I was also going to ask you, about, his growth. Was he mature for his age? Did he go through puberty younger than you think?
He did start maturing younger as far as puberty. Not necessarily he's not a very big kid. He's a pretty petite kid. But, we definitely noticed all the signs of puberty, like the acne and
hair on his chest and stuff.
No, just started noticing hair under his arms, like earlier than some of his friends.
Right.
And, yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it was amazing. He can grow hair everywhere else except the top of his head, like right now. But which is interesting. But so he got all the blood work done, and everything came back pretty normal. They tested his thyroid and his vitamin levels, and they were like, no, everything's fine. Just kind of wait it out and see if it gets better. So 6 months goes by, and they want me to come back, and it's not really getting better, but not necessarily getting worse at that time. But we just we started noticing his hair going through these really weird phases.
Now I have a question for you. How is he reacting to it?
Well, I don't think he noticed as much as we noticed, and I had a really hard time on how to handle it with him because I didn't want to create more of an insecurity.
That's what I was going to ask.
Exactly.
I'm not sure he could. I'm not sure he could see the top of his head like we could all the time.
Sure.
And so I didn't want to. It was really hard as his mom. How do I deal with it?
So how did you approach it?
Well, I was honest, and I said, we noticed that his hair was thinning a little bit, and that we were going to take him to the doctor just to get some blood work done and get some things checked out, just to make sure there wasn't something more going on. And I definitely didn't say, like, you're going bald, or
Okay.
I didn't want to scare him.
Right. And so what was his reaction when you told him?
He was fine about it. He was like, oh, okay. And then so the second time we took him to the doctor, they started telling me to use minoxidil on his head. And he was he was about 14 at this time. And so this really depressed me, because I was like, are you kidding me? I have to use like Rogaine on my 14-year-old's head, and that stuff is just like terrible. It makes your hair look worse because it leaves it wet, and at this time, he's still learning how to style his hair, and, he gets up in the morning and it's messy, and he wants to run out the door to go to school, and, and I'm having to help him with it, and so that was not, like, the easiest situation. But
now, you were told
but
to
I
use
felt
it.
like,
You were
I guess
told
this
to
is
use
what
it.
I need to try.
You were told to use it twice a day, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that's one key mistake that a lot of these physicians, even early on, make. I mean, the suggestion should always be to start at night. At the very least, you're going to have less of a concern with the morning styling and the greasiness of it.
Well, and we kind of ended up going that route with only using it at night, because that was just the easiest time. It got to be too difficult in the morning because it would take so long to dry.
What kind of hair loss was he actually experiencing? Like, was it? Does it look like it's a recession? Does it look like it's a thinning through the top? Does it look like it's just in the back or all over?
We started noticing the very top of it thinning.
Okay.
The very top, and it would go through like these kind of weird phases where sometimes I would feel like it looked worse certain times of year. And he's also an athlete. He plays football, he plays basketball, he plays baseball. And I would always notice it getting much worse during basketball season, which is, you do a lot of conditioning, and it's a little bit more of a stressful season because it's such a long season and you're doing a lot of running. So I don't know if that contributed to it getting worse. I'm not sure. It was always a thought in my mind, because I would always take him back to the doctor during that season. Like, it looks worse.
Is he on any, let me ask you, is he on any, like, ADHD medications or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No. The only thing that I found out recently, within about the last 6 months, was that, and it's amazing to me that they didn't test for this before, because they tested his iron levels, and they were totally normal, but they never tested his ferritin levels, his storage.
Right.
And they were really low. Like he was at an 11, and he should be at like a 70. So, and I did eventually have a specialist tell me that could have contributed to his hair loss as well.
Sure.
But then after doing a recent biopsy, they've diagnosed him with, male pattern baldness, androgenetic alopecia. So I don't know if he's been hit with this double whammy of like the low iron levels and the androgenetic alopecia.
Well, then and again, that is possible. If he's dealing with these low levels while he's susceptible or genetically predisposed to androgenetic alopecia, it could actually flip that switch earlier than, say, if he would have been 18 or 20 when it started.
And I think that's a part of like what happened. And I'm as his mom, I'm a little disappointed in doctors that they weren't kind of thinking outside the box a little bit, and they never tested those ferritin levels throughout the year. Until the last 6 months.
I can barely go to a doctor. I am so disappointed in doctor. I had a recent doctor visit that disappointed me, and I'm just like, I have to think for myself, and this is really important for every patient, every consumer, every mother of a patient. You cannot trust these guys 100% because that's why it's called the practice of medicine. As Joey says, they're practicing on you, and they only work within the parameters that they're used to working within.
Right. Well, and it wasn't honestly until I came across that, doing just a lot of research, that could have been a possibility for his hair loss too. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, okay, well, let's test for that." And I was like, "Yeah, no kidding."
Yeah, like you could have done this a year ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and because he is an athlete, and we started noticing that his energy levels were low. He would have times where he'd throw up on the basketball court, and So in my mind, I was like, is there something else going on besides just male pattern baldness? Is there something like that I'm missing? Because I felt like that was a possibility, and that I owed it to him to kind of explore all those options before taking more drastic measures.
First of all, you're a great mom.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's very lucky to have you. All right, so what's the story now? Where's he at this point?
Well, he's going to be turning 18 soon, and we recently went and saw I finally got referred. It takes a lot to get referred to a specialist. I mean, they give you the runaround a lot of like, go to your pediatrician. Oh, and go to a regular dermatologist in your town. Oh, well, no, maybe we want to send you maybe over to rheumatology because of his blood work. And then, oh, no, then we want to send you, now we'll send you to a specialist. So finally got to a hair loss specialist, and she has prescribed him to be on finasteride and oral minoxidil and the ketoconazole shampoo, which he just started. He's only been on it about a month.
Okay.
Now, just to let you know, I mean, I have known guys over the years, young guys, who started the process early, who were prescribed finasteride, and either their parents are worried about it or they were worried about it. They have all done really well. I know one guy in particular who's now probably 40, and he had contacted me over the years. He initially found me when he read The Bald Truth back in 1998. He was 17. He was a kid from Denver. He was put on the drug. He ended up saving most of his hair for a very long time, having a family, and all the things that people are concerned about.
Yeah.
So I think that
of course. I've known.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. So I've known about finasteride for a long time, but of course it has terrified me. Like putting it. He's not even a senior in high school, and I've been scared of it, but. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet. So you guys have definitely helped ease my mind about that. So I thank you for that. But, of course, I still have a lot of worries about him, like, being on it. But it just got to the point where I didn't want him to be too far gone. I mean, his hair loss has gotten so bad that I was worried if I put it off anymore for him, then it's going to be even harder for him to overcome.
What did he want?
He wanted to get on it. He was told he was fine with getting on it.
And that's the
doctor had a conversation with him about looking out for some side effects and stuff. But I mean, he doesn't want to lose his hair.
Right, and I understand.
Well,
and he probably, here's the thing. The fact that he matured early means that he's most likely, at least where it counts, and when taking this drug, he's fully developed. And he may still have a couple of inches to grow, and get a little bigger as he gets older. But the reality is, at least according to the experts, he probably has a little bit more free-flowing testosterone now because he's suppressing DHT. So he may end up, as an athlete, possibly benefiting from the drug as well. Yeah. And
I was wondering about that. Yeah, how that would affect him in sports.
Look, all I can say is we're both not physicians, but I am, a man of a certain age right now, and I've been on the drug I'm going to be 56 years old. I've been on the drug since I was in my 20s. And even though I've gone up and down just naturally, in weight and, from drinking or whatever it is, I've maintained a lot of muscle mass, probably a lot more than I would say most men my age, and I don't take anything else except for finasteride, so I don't know if that's why, but all I know is that it hasn't affected me adversely in that respect.
Okay. That's good to know.
So...
Yeah.
I listen.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you're seeing a physician and he's seeing a physician, that it was prescribed by a specialist, that, it's something that he wanted for himself.
Yeah.
And he has support from his family. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely did. Right now it's kind of tough because he is kind of going through this shedding phase after starting his medication where, I mean, I have read that sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better, so we're trying to get through that time with him. So, I mean, thank God for some of the concealers.
Yes.
Where I feel like, he can go out and kind of disguise it a little bit, but...
Now, let me ask you this. Does he know about the program?
Like what are you like? What are you referring to? Like what?
Does he listen to the show?
program?
Does he know about the program, or do you
Oh,
listen
no,
to it on
no,
the
I'm sorry.
download?
No, I haven't had him listen to the show. No, and I've always been a little cautious about because I'm not sure he. I try to be cautious with him because I don't want to scare him too much. I mean, he knows he's on the medication. He knows he is what he has to do.
Right.
But then also when you start searching the internet, you start seeing a lot of scary things. So
Now, do you
I haven't
think that he has?
encouraged him to do that.
Do you think that he hasn't taken the time? I mean, if he's got a phone or his own laptop to search the internet
He
himself,
does.
yeah.
He does. I don't think he's spending a lot of time researching it now.
Okay. Well, good.
But I could be wrong. I mean, I don't think he is. And I don't think he is I don't think he's really consumed by it. He's a pretty happy kid.
That's great.
But maybe I'm taking it a little harder than he is because I'm his mom and I can kind of foresee some things for him a little bit more. And I worry about, of course I worry about like what other kids like say to him. I mean, high school is like brutal enough to be in at times. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the positives. He's an athlete. He's obviously a popular kid.
He's a good, smart kid. Yeah.
He's a smart kid. There's always that kid in high school, and there's usually a couple of them that we didn't really understand what was going on with their hair, but we saw it was a little different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I remember one kid who was just a regular kid. He wasn't really that social. He wasn't an athlete. He was the kid that got the crap. And the one kid who was a basketball player was revered, and he had worse hair loss than his other kids. So I think he has a social a social advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a young hair loss sufferer than most guys
100%.
don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he does. And he has a lot of friends. And he hasn't expressed to me that like people are bullying him or anything. He's had like a few little moments, where kids have been like, "Hey, you look just like your dad. You look your hair just like your," stuff like that. But it hasn't. I mean, I could be wrong, but because teenage boys are kind of weird, anyways, at times.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could be internalizing it more than I'm aware of. But we're pretty open about. I feel like we're pretty open about communicating it. Or I do ask him, like, "Wow, is this making you feel?" And
well, all I can say is that I'm sure you guys have a great relationship, and you sound like a great mom. But as someone who's a boy myself, who had a pretty good relationship with his mother, I didn't tell her shit. I didn't tell her shit most of the time.
And I'm conscious of that he's not going to tell me everything. That it's hard to open up about. Yeah.
But if you see that
my one question would be is, of course, his specialist that he's seeing, wants to do PRP on him, and I'm curious what you guys really think about that because
I would wait.
It's really expensive, and we don't have all this disposable income. It's super expensive. So I'm like, is that going to help him? I mean, he's scheduled to go in June.
No,
I did want to wait.
No, stop.
Listen, PRP works if you're the right candidate and if it's the right physician providing the right PRP. The thing is, he just started medication, and he's on the best regimen known to man currently.
Okay.
So you want to give that at least a year to see how he does. Because once you start throwing the kitchen sink at this kid, you're not going to know what's going on. And say you get these benefits, and you're spending $2,000 on PRP 4 times a year when you didn't have to.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, that's good advice, just to wait it out and see. Yeah, because, you definitely feel like you do have to throw the kitchen sink at it because you get kind of paranoid that, like, if I don't do all these things, is it going to get so much worse? Or, okay.
Well, what's the worst case scenario with your particular kid? Do you think if he had to shave his head, do you think he'd be able to move on with his life and be confident?
I do, and I think the biggest factor with me was just trying to get him through a few years.
Yeah.
And then he can make the decisions for himself.
Okay.
When he hits adulthood and, he's not living at home anymore, and he can decide for himself, do I want to be on this medication? Do I care anymore? Yeah. But with him being so young and not really being able to maybe make those adult situations and know necessarily what's best for him. I felt like I needed to kind of help him just get through like the early years.
Well, listen, it sounds like you did a really great job. And just to be clear, so currently he's using, what, 1 milligram of finasteride and oral minoxidil?
He's on 1 milligram of finasteride, and he is on 2.5 milligrams of minoxidil, oral minoxidil.
Okay. And has he experienced anything?
2.5.
Has he experienced any side effects at all?
No.
Okay.
Just the shedding.
Now, do you notice any change in his his facial appearance? Does he look like he may have a little bloating or anything?
No, not yet, and I have been watching for that because I knew that was a side effect too, but not that I'm aware of.
It would happen quickly on minoxidil.
Okay. No, I haven't noticed that.
Okay. Well, listen, just, I'm pretty sure that in time, it may take 6 weeks or longer, the shed will start to, you'll see a cessation of the shedding.
Okay.
And if the medication is working for him, it will essentially, the miniaturization will reverse. Because he is shedding early in the process, it's considered a good sign by experts that the medication is working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So do not throw PRP into the mix now. I mean, he's got plenty of time for that.
Okay.
And maybe by the time he needs it, he'll be able to pay for it himself.
Yeah, that would be nice, right?
Well, listen.
Because I mean, over the years, it's been like, I mean, the DHT blocking shampoos, the minoxidil, there's been I bought him a laser helmet, that he uses. I mean, it's just been like all this. Which
you went for the laser helmet.
I'll do anything to help my kid. Like Lenny doesn't. I mean. It's okay. Like, I've been willing to spend the money to try to, help him, with this. I feel like I owe that to him. But you don't really know if anything is going to work, is, the thing. It's like, is this crap, really going to work? And you're just spending money.
Now, does he use the laser helmet, or is it just kind of like sitting on his desk?
No, he's using it.
Okay.
He's using it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think you've done everything you can for your kid. Joe wanted to say something. I could see Joe trying to say
I was going to ask, when did he start using the laser cap?
It's been about 8 months.
Okay.
And I bought him
and was there any sort of change? Yeah, the helmet. Yeah.
No,
was there any change from that?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any drastic change. No.
Yeah, and
at least there was enough time to see what was going on with that, because when you mentioned that, and then oral minoxidil, and then finasteride, I was afraid it was going to be like a kitchen sink situation, like Spencer mentioned, that you wanted to avoid, but it wasn't. So that's good. You've at least got that out of the way. You understand if it's doing anything or not. So I mean, everything Spencer was saying, I agree 100% with, and I think that PRP, in fact, any other treatment, anything, I don't care what it is, PRP, whatever. Leave all of them alone. Like Spencer said, wait a full year before you even consider anything else.
Okay.
Because you just don't know what's going to work, what's not, and you don't want it to be a big question mark.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, once you start doing that, there's really no turning back. I mean,
pretty much.
If you think if you don't really know what's working, then you feel like, I have to keep going back for those PRP treatments, and then I mean, that's a good point. And if you don't even really know that is a good source of help for him, then
it's also an excess burden on him, emotionally, and then eventually financially if he doesn't need it. So,
in fact, I just had to call them this morning because I found out he has a baseball game that night, and I was like, I don't think he can do his PRP. He's got to play baseball that night. And
it's also, it's also something that will always be there, and that is continuing to improve. So, a year from now, if he thinks, all right, things are stable, maybe I want to try to boost the situation, maybe PRP, something that I might want to try. It's always going to be there.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I mean, they have him on a supplement for iron too to get those ferritin levels up, and I'm curious to see if that will help any of his hair density. I don't know.
It might.
I mean, he is starting to absorb it, but we'll see.
It's unusual for a guy of his age to have iron issues.
It is, and I've always been. We haven't been able to figure out why that is yet.
Yeah. Well.
Either.
Well,
And I may never know.
Fingers crossed. You've done everything you can to help him, and he seems like he's a pretty together kid. If he's not, if he's not coming to you, ultra concerned about it. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen.
Well, thank you so much for your guys' help. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, we appreciate the call. And
Thanks for
do me a
calling
favor,
in.
Call back. Keep us updated.
Okay, I will.
All right.
Sure. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's a good call.
What a great mom.
Oh, incredible. My mother would
she saw it.
My mother would have handed me
She cared.
My mother handed me some clippers and a carton of Marlboro. Man up, Johnny.
Back in the day. Man up, Johnny.
Yeah. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Mike calling from New York.
Mike from New York. What's happening, my man?
Hello, Mike.
Well, not too much. I wish that was my mother.
Oh, my God. Tell me about it.
My mom laughed at me and told me to stop putting gel in my hair. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? You got great hair. What are you worried about?
I just want. Yeah, well, I'm 36, so this is gonna be a little bit of a depressing call, but I shouldn't feel too bad considering what she's going through there. So that's crazy.
Dude,
but,
we're all about the depressing calls.
We planned that one perfectly because it really brought the house down. It's a tough act to follow if you're trying to do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really quick, congrats. Well, almost to Joe on 20,000 followers. Almost there.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, after this show, I need to get ready to pick the winner because I'm like 10. Wait, I think I'm like 8 subscribers away from 20,000.
Oh,
so
dude,
there will be a video this week.
You know that I subscribed, so I hope that I'm in the running.
Finally.
I hope
because you've got a tough time getting Grow MD shampoo.
Well, listen,
you want your free year supply.
I like winning. I'm a winner.
See, and I know what's going to happen. Like if you actually won, and I called up Dr. Yazdi, I'm like, Spencer Kobren won. He'd be like, damn you, Kobren! Damn you!
So what can we do for you, man?
Well, a few times I've called in the past, I've been kind of upbeat because over the years I've been okay with what's going on with my hair, but recently over the last year or so, I'm starting to really it's progressed now to a point where something needs to really change, and I'm just at I don't know how to describe it. It's like I said, depressing call. I'm just at a crossroads now, and I just don't. I know what to do. I have a plan, so to speak. But
what's the
plan? I just wanted to talk it out. But well, basically, my hairline's very recessed with the high hairline, big forehead, and everything behind it is thinned out. Okay, I could somehow work with the fibers and the derm match, but it's like you're getting ready for the Academy Awards every morning. Okay, and
it's a story of my life, man.
I love that. That's great.
I'm just at a point now, and I use my minoxidil on the crown. I think it's kind of helped maintain it a little bit. I derma roll once a week. I've tried basically every single thing you've ever heard of, from the laser thing like that last caller was talking about, or...
Are you telling me that you're bopping around with that laser helmet?
No, that's gone. That made it worse, I think. That, thinned out my lateral humps, I think. Oh, I know it did, actually. And it's just been a disaster. And I'm at a point where I'm tired, and I'm broken. And so I'm not... I am thinking, with the hair system was always something I thought of, but I realized that's ultimately not going to be for me, at least a full topper thing.
How do you know?
Well, if you want to go into detail, basically I'm just a little bit of an anxious person in general. I'm not on medication or anything, but I'm just generally somebody that I guess worries a little bit, and I could just see that it could be one of those guys where it kind of like takes over your life, and always worrying about it. So you'd appreciate the story. What I did was I ended up buying a very small partial piece to do a little experiment test.
Okay.
How does it feel on my head? What's it like? What does it look like? And it was, it could have gone better. I did do things maybe a little wrong, but it was basically a disaster because, my side, all these guys with these hair systems on YouTube and this and that, a lot of them, if you really notice, have these very thick sides, which makes it just like a piece of a puzzle to put on the top there. But with me, the front of my sides, when it starts, is rather thin. So when I put this piece up top, it was like, rather dense. And then you had to the right and left of it, if you understand what I'm saying, you had the thinning beginning of a thing. And it was just awful. It was just awful. I mean, I guess in theory I could get a lower density piece, but I just see it.
Let me ask you, what was the material? What was the base material made of?
It was Swiss lace.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you some tips as far as what, and I learned this from I was going to say the late great, God forbid he's still alive, but Kent Emmons, the guy from. A friend of mine, a guy from, what's the name of that radio? Anyway, he was on XM satellite radio for a long time. Good buddy of mine, and we got him into a hair system, and he started to wear lace, and he ended up going from one density to another. The initial density was too thick. The second density was great, but the problem is when you're wearing lace, there's a lot of issues with dirt coming through the glue, all kinds of stuff. There are newer materials that, especially if you're just using a partial unit, that are essentially ultra thin, like 0.02 millimeter thickness of like a latex material or a poly material.
Yeah.
And the hair is ventilated using something called a V-loop ventilation. So even if you get it and the density is too thick, you can actually pull the hairs out one by one through the V-loop and thin it out yourself to kind of match the density of your sides.
Right. I know. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've studied them now for going on 2 years, YouTube and forums and everything. And
by the way, I've got to say this because he just came into my old memory. National Lampoon Radio. He's a CEO. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Anyway.
Oh, remember you telling me about that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry that you had that disaster, but your story is not common as far as trying it initially. A lot of people try it and they don't get it right, and it takes them multiple tries before they do.
Right. But in general, I mean, do you understand where I'm coming from as far as the anxiety I deal with, and as far as the hairline issue and the, for example, if I just had a thinning crown, I would have no problem using it just to cover that up, for example. When you're so anyway, long story short, I'm at a point now where I'm just ready to get a transplant in some form. And my plan is not very conventional or not ideal, and Joe would probably think it's not a good idea at all. But I have spoken to two great doctors in this area in New York City, and that they have told me it would be okay to start going this route. And
the Mohawk? I'm just kidding.
Uh-oh.
Basically,
let's hear it.
Well, basically, first surgery would just be something along the lines of reframing my face, getting a very conservative high hairline up there with just maybe something as small as 1,300 grams. I'm well aware, though, that by the time that would be completed and final result, that I may need to go back for the second one, and I'm okay with that. And I'm also okay with, and I'm sure you'll appreciate, that I don't have any hair greed, and if I could just have a nice sort of frontal region at the end of it all, and then continue to use the fibers and hair match on the back, I would be happy, and I'm not spoiled. So that's the good news about me. So it's still something that, you would think, oh, I'm going here, my hair is all thin to hell, look, it's shot, and I want to go get this small surgery to start, and then you're going to go back. But I don't see any other option.
Let me stop you right there. Let me just interrupt for just a moment. No one thinks that they have hair greed until they do. And it always starts with the first hair transplant. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're going to get it. Okay, I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying, when you say I don't have hair greed, you don't know. you may wind up having hair greed because when let's assume that the first procedure works out great. You look at it and you're like, wow, look, it turned out great, but I want more. Happens like every person that has hair greed never walks in thinking I got hair greed. Because that first procedure, when it turns out great, if it turns out great, that's what triggers it. Look who you're talking to. I did not plan on my first repair with Dr. Wong. I did not plan on having X number of additional surgeries after the fact. I didn't know I'd be working, just my future for the next 11 years was completely unknown, and it certainly, if anyone had asked me, had nothing to do with hair. I just wanted to get fixed and move on, and it wound up changing my life to where I had more surgeries than most people on the planet because I could. And the greed was there. It kicked in. And I had to get that out there because no one walks in thinking that they got hair greed. Everyone walks in thinking 1 or 2 surgeries. They never think they'll need 3. It's very rare that someone says, "Oh, I'll need 3 surgeries," and accepts that. So sorry for the interruption, but I had to insert that in there because it is a dose of reality that everyone needs to hear. No one walks in thinking...
Didn't he just express to you how bummed he was already, Joe?
It's not about being bummed. It's about having realistic approach to how you're looking at this. And it can turn out fantastic with 1 surgery, okay? So I just got to make sure that you understand that. Your plan, for basically what I heard, is do the front and hopefully that's all you need. You can live with the concealers and stuff behind it moving forward.
Well, no,
assuming that you don't lose more hair.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose more hair. So my plan is 2 surgeries. It's a 2-surgery plan in my head.
Okay,
that's what it was. I totally get it. I see where you're coming from. I like all. Yeah, go ahead.
So the question is, if you're planning on 2 surgeries, but you haven't lost enough hair for the second surgery, then, I guess my question is, have any doctors given you an estimate for a second surgery, even though you haven't lost enough hair for a second surgery?
Yes, no, I haven't lost enough hair. The hair that would be behind this transplanted hairline would be bad hair that would need the fibers. But as far as doctors, and it's this Dr. Doran in this Manhattan who's great, and he was great to me. He told me, based on what I'm doing, that they're as far as estimates, 1,100 to 1,200 for the first one, and the second one would be something around 2,000 for that area. For the mid, some of the mid scalp and the front, that kind of area. So, back to your point.
Was that based on your current situation or on what he thinks your future situation will be?
Oh, that was planning on the future, right? Like, because my hair now is not, it's bad, but I can't get transplanted into my forelock because there's still too much hair there. You understand? Even though it's thin as hell. Right.
So I guess to clarify my question, when he made the statement or the assessment saying, and for his second surgery we'd be doing 2,000 grafts, was that based on what he thinks you're going to lose, or if you were to do the second surgery based on the hair that you have now? Does that make sense?
Kind of. Basically, he said we don't know how it's going to progress. I mean, based on my family history, it is going to be lost eventually. Good. That was what. But as far as he looked at the area on my head now, and let's say you lost that, and we did an estimate that you can get away with something like 2,000 grafts behind that, and the crown would obviously still be totally bald, but that was the story there.
Okay. Good. So the reason I was asking that, I was hoping that you would tell me that he wasn't sure. He was just basing it on what he thinks might happen. He wasn't. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Right. That's good. Because the reason I was asking that is because a lot of times I'll hear people say, well, the doctor said even though I don't need this many grafts, he can do it to in case I lose more in the future, which is it's backward.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. So
Right,
I was assuming that he was saying the right thing, but I wanted you to confirm it for me, and you did. And the reason being is because I don't know Dr. Doran that well. I met him a couple times, but I was thinking about him while you're speaking, and in my opinion, he's like I like his work, and I like his approach. Like of the two doctors, True and Doran, it's for some reason he's like the quiet one, and I don't know much about him, but I don't hear enough about him as I do his partner.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that he should be heard from more. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he should not only be heard from more. I mean, it's his practice essentially at this point, and the guy is like you said. I mean, for whatever reason, and maybe it's because he is running a busy practice, he is not out there the way his partner has been all these years. And I think that does the practice a disservice, and I think it does patients a disservice because he really is a good dude, and he's I was going to say conservative. He has a reasonable approach and an honest approach to his consultations, and it's not necessarily conservative. It's just appropriate.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I just want to make a point to Joe really quick that I was trying to get as far as the hair greed thing. I totally get where you're coming from, but if you saw my hair the last 5 years and what I've worked with the fibers, the topic, and I've left the house fine and totally happy, and I've never been like, oh, this sucks, I got to use these fibers, or look at my hair, it looks like crap. So I just wanted to try and understand that I really do know myself. I feel at 36 years old, and what is acceptable for a hair transplant, and I know I'm not going to end up with this thick head of hair, and it is what it is. So just to make you feel better about what I'm going forward with.
Now
Awesome.
I had to leave the room for a second, but did Dr. Doran, did he discuss an approach to strengthen your temporal peaks at all?
He did not. No, we did not really go there. My peaks are actually they're not good by any means, but they're not bad. So we didn't really get into that. There is that little bit of thinning that I brought up earlier, but it's not anything drastic.
Now, okay, but if you were able to improve that thinning, would you then feel more comfortable wearing hair?
If I had some of these sides that some of these other people on YouTube have, then that it would be more acceptable. I still don't think that I am the type that would ever go full throttle with a full topper and always have to worry about the hairline and all that stuff.
And I just want to let you know that on a personal level, I understand the anxiety issue. I actually have OCD, which is kind of a different form of anxiety, but it causes anxiety. I'm able to kind of fix it with the right checking system or whatever I have to do at the time to make it kind of to help myself. So I understand that feeling that you get. It's almost like an itch you can't scratch. And, if you are ultra conscious or ultra anxious about something, even if it looks great, it's not going to improve your life at all. So I just want to let you know I'm fully on board and understand.
Thanks. Yeah. I just, I wish, because they're so amazing these days and they could be so non-detectable, but at the end of the day, it's just, it is something that becomes a significant part of your life.
I think that if you would have gone for a ultra thin poly that really was thin enough and that you could thin out yourself, you would have had a different experience. And so you might want to just, for $250 or whatever, invest in getting a full one that you can kind of cut the size and play with it yourself to see if there's any possibility before you have surgery. I mean, you've already gone this route, and it may actually alleviate some of the anxiety if it does not only look good, but feel good, because it's going to feel a lot more natural than lace as well.
Right. No, that's definitely a possibility. I already tried the Swiss lace, so
just a consideration. If you're going down the surgical route, to invest another $200 or something just to play around with it, it may benefit you.
Right. Yep. Okay. Well, I'll keep you guys, posted. That's basically it.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck. I'm sorry that you're not doing well right now, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the good news is, even though you don't feel young, you're only 36 years old. There's a very strong chance things are going to get better in this realm of your life. You're doing it the right way.
Thanks, Spencer. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, man. Good luck.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for calling.
888-659-37. I just hung up. I'm sorry, dude. 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. I have someone over who's actually watching the broadcast on a 65-inch television in the green room here at TBT Studios. And I went out to get some water, and I saw your mug on TV with the set, and I got to tell you, you look good, dude.
Thank you.
I mean, you're no Kobren, but you're pretty.
You got the blue going on.
You're looking good.
You're no Kobren.
No, but honestly, I mean, the set looks really
That's
good.
true.
You're coloring. You just look really good on television. So
Thank you.
I just thought I'd tell you that.
Tell some producers that, and we'll make something happen.
Oh, there's a guy. There's a guy that's contacted me again about something that I'm just like, we can't do that, man. If you want to come into the studio and actually put the show on television, then maybe we can do that. But I cannot get people who only have one chance at being fucking repaired correctly to go to your fucking...
that thing again.
Yeah, to go to your fucking doctor. Even if you're going to have the show on television, I can't live with myself and make that happen. So let me put this out there for everyone who doesn't understand what we turn down. The money, the opportunities, the fame, which brings money. We have an opportunity to be, or at least I do, but that means Joe does as well, because Joe is the co-host of the show, to be on a big cable station for a reality type of a program. But the premise is repairing fucked up cases that may or may not come through us or the American Hair Loss Association. The first thing that
in other words, repaired by doctors that may not be qualified to do so.
Repaired by good-looking doctors, period. Probably female. Good-looking doctors. Their only credential would be that at some point they may not be a hair loss professional, but they are a doctor. Maybe they're a dermatologist. Maybe they work for a large chain clinic. Maybe they don't. But the reality is, to be on this reality show, I would have to put you guys in harm's way. I'd sign off on it. I'd have no liability, as the producer said, but you'd still be fucked up. There's a chance of you getting fucked up when you have one chance. And they don't just want like the cases with maybe the hair was placed in the wrong direction. They want complete botch jobs, like necrotic fucking scalps and like the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
To be sent over to people who don't know how to deal with this. And
for eyeballs.
And we
for ratings.
And we discussed me having an associate producer credit. What does that mean? I'm on, the television, whatever websites. I have this credit. I'd have an opportunity to do my own type of show more easily, get an agent, all that shit. And I'm like, I can't help you, man. Can't do it. It's not just because I'm a nice guy. In the long game, it's going to fuck up what I've been doing for 25 years. For a short game, maybe eventually sort of bring an extra 7 figures in for the year, whatever it might bring in. Great. How long is that going to last? And then all of a sudden, I'm the Bernie Madoff of hair loss.
Not to mention, no liability. No one can promise that.
Well, there'd be no
financial. If someone's upset, they'll find a way to make you liable.
There'd be no financial liability or no legal liability. But yeah. I mean, I can't be involved in that shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, story of my life. I don't know who to take. Let's see. Okay. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hello.
Hey there, it's David. Hi, it's David from New York.
David from New York. You're going to have to either switch directly
David.
to your phone or...
Oh, let me see. 1 second.
All right.
1 second. Hi, can you hear me better now?
Much better, David.
Much better.
All right, perfect. Oh, what? There we go. All right, got it. I was in my car.
Okay.
Okay, so, all right, I was listening to the earlier caller, and at first I was like, I can't really relate to him because my hair loss situation is much different. But then he was from New York talking about Dr. Dorn. I'm like, oh, interesting. I'm actually, that's where I got my first transplant from. So,
oh, wow.
Anyway, that was interesting. But anyway, let me, I guess, brief you in with what's going on here. So I had my first transplant 3 years ago when I was, I think, 22. I was in Norwood, too. I really didn't need it. Like Dr. Dorn told me, you don't need it, but if you want it, it's a risk, but if you're willing to take it. And I kind of had that, greed before even having my first transplant. I was like, okay, well, I describe myself as like weirdly educated and uneducated about the process because I knew I was not going to go the cheap route. I knew like I was going to research a good doctor who produced good results, but I didn't really know all the terminologies and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, all right, well, I guess it's a safe choice. So anyway, did that, and thankfully it worked out pretty well. So I now 3 years later, everything is held up. I haven't had any other hair loss. All the grafts are still there. The scars here heal nicely. I actually got SMP over there to cover up, could blend in so I can have a short haircut. So that's I guess that's worked out pretty well. So
are you on finasteride now?
Okay.
No, I'm not. I actually got prescribed. I took it for about a month. But then I realized I didn't need it actually because I'm not really thinning. It was just that I, was at like a Norwood tooth when I was about 16, and it never progressed. So I was like, all right, that's where I'm holding. And then I got the transplant at 22. So, and everything is held up. So at this point, the reason I'm calling is because I just got a consultation recently about getting, this is where the hair loss, the greed comes in, about getting a second procedure just to add density. So, again, I don't appear like I'm balding. No one ever says I'm bald. Before actually I got the first transplant, I had a couple friends that say something like, "Oh, are you starting to bald?" or something like that. But it was never like, "Oh, you're balding." But since then, I haven't had any of those comments. So I don't know if it's a greed thing. I guess my question is this: like, do I have a chance of fucking things up? That's more what I'm asking.
100%.
Yes.
You have about the same chance of fucking things up currently in your situation now as you do of having the same outcome that you had for your first procedure, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You have more hair now in that given area. That means you have more hair to lose in that given area, even if it's transplanted hair. Once your scalp is compromised, it's compromised. Once you've changed the integrity of your scalp, you've changed the integrity of your scalp. It sounds to me like you had a strip procedure initially. So you have a linear scar, you change the integrity of the scalp minorly because you had one procedure, and you already had to have SMP. You could go through that whole process. The best case scenario is you go through that whole process again. You have a little bit more hair. And, you change the integrity of your scalp even more, lose more elasticity. You've used really precious donor hair that you may need if you do start to progress in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you are...
Was your first surgery a strip or was it FUE? Sorry.
Yes, no, it was a strip. It was a strip. I actually, by the way, I don't know if I needed the SMP. It was just I wanted to buzz it down to like a very short, and then it would show. But if I have like a 5 or 6, then it's not a problem.
Well, it's
okay.
It
wasn't like it was easily,
It's okay that you had the SMP and that it worked out for you. All of it seems like it worked out. Even though you were young, and you're telling me that you don't think that you actually had androgenetic alopecia or progressive hair loss. It's possible that You kind of lucked out. It worked out. It was a good procedure. Dr. Joran made the right judgment call in your particular case, even though I felt you were young, but I'm not your doctor. And you're happy with the results. If you kept the hair that you have right now, and this is something that you need to think about, if you were able to keep the head of hair that you have right now for the next 5 years, would you be happy?
So the short answer is yes. I would definitely be happy. Like, I'm not depressed about it now or anything. My only issue is that I'm always like, they say the enemy of good is better. I'm always like, well, if it's good now, why not get better? But I know that's I guess that's why I'm calling now, because I didn't go ahead and book a surgery. I didn't, pay a deposit or anything. I just had the consultation about a week ago. He pretty much, when I showed up, he's like, what are you doing here? You had a great result. Why are you back? And I was like, well, you didn't mention, originally told me you could come in for a second one if you want to add density. So I was like, I'm just here for the density. He said he would perform it, but he really didn't recommend it. So that's why I'm kind of thinking, well, if he's not recommending it, it sounds like you're not, maybe I should take, the smart approach and
It's
actually.
a fucking bad move, yo. That's all I'm going to tell you. Bad move. You could end up calling us back in 6 months.
Let's back up.
Huddled, that's a tough word, under your kitchen sink with a bottle of Jack Daniels. Wishing that you never even thought about this.
You said earlier that when you go out, no one suspects that you've had a hair transplant, and no one suspects that you've lost your hair, right? And you didn't really lose your hair, as a Norwood too, but you just want a little more density. So the question is, or the question was, can you be happy with where you are now? Of course, you are. You are happy with where you are now, and why risk it? Like, you're what, 25 now?
25, yeah, correct.
Yeah, you're 25 years old. You got a strong hairline. You want to add just a little more hair, and I say it like that because that's almost verbatim the exact phrase that everyone says when they want like a second or third surgery. Just a little more. But what comes with that just a little more? Just a little more scarring, another chance of maybe it not working out the way you want to, and then that second surgery with just a little more hair becomes a third surgery to fix that second surgery for just a little more hair. Like, you're fine now, so why risk it? Why?
Right. So
there's the money. There's the downtime for a moderate improvement, a small improvement where you don't really need an improvement to begin with. I understand. Like, you're standing there in the mirror every day, getting ready for work or going on a date or whatever. You're fixing your hair, and you're like, yeah, it'd be nice a little thicker. I get it. But if it looks good enough, why fuck with it?
Yeah. Every time Joe gets out of the shower, he says the same thing about himself, and he's just like, "What can I do?"
No, fair
enough. And make no mistake, the option's there. I mean, one of the best hair transplant doctors is 20 minutes away from me.
I'm not talking about his hair.
See what I deal with here,
dude. Listen, man, you are in an excellent position. You're young. You had a great procedure. You currently look like you have a full head of hair. There may be a time when you don't, and you're going to need those 2,000 grafts or those 1,500 grafts to give you back what you currently have now.
So, right, I guess it's a bit more context. So the first procedure was 800 grafts. The second one, he recommended the same thing if I want to move forward. I am honestly leaning towards no, because what you're saying, basically, something kind of like I had that. That was sort of my feeling towards it, and it sounded like it was Dr. Dorn's feeling, and now it's your feeling. So it's just like, that sounds like it makes sense. But part of my theory, what I was thinking was, like, originally he told me I could have shock loss, and I haven't had any of that. So I was like, listen, it sounds like most of my hair is pretty stable. So I was like, if I don't have...
That's irrelevant. The stability of your current hair has nothing to do with the chances of shock loss, because there are multiple forms of shock loss. You got shock loss due to the interruption of blood flow in that area. So that can affect terminal hair that is otherwise, quote unquote, stable. You've got physical damage to the neighboring hair that can cause shock loss, where they're physically destroyed by whatever needle or blade or whatever's being used to make the recipient sites. And this is nothing against Dr. Doran. I mean, it's just a fact of life, where if you have existing hair, you run the chance of some of that hair being physically damaged from subsequent surgeries, whether it's native hair or surgically placed hair before. Both scenarios can happen independently or combined. There are several ways that can happen. So stable or not, that's not on the table. That's not what influences whether or not your hair goes through some sort of effluvium, whether it be temporary or permanent, because sometimes it's temporary, sometimes it's permanent. It just depends on how the shock loss was initiated to begin with. So don't look at it like that, because you just don't know. I mean, Dr. Doran even said there could be some shock loss, and it's just as true today as it was before your first surgery.
Right.
So basically, everything that he said before this first surgery applies to any surgery that you have after that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Put this in context. And no, we don't know who you are. So did you ever drive drunk or buzzed after you had a couple drinks?
I honestly, let me try to think. No, I really. It's like one thing I try to avoid. Maybe one or two drinks, but no.
Okay.
I'm not the.
Well, so you decide to get into a car after having one or two drinks, and you got away with it. You weren't pulled over. You didn't hurt anybody. Think of it that way. You get away with it until you don't in life. And when it comes to this, you got away with it, man. You had a relatively small procedure that impacted your life in a positive way, and you didn't have shock loss. You weren't worse for the wear. You ended up with a better head of hair than you had 3 years ago, and you still have that. That's it. You hit the lottery. I guarantee you that you are really upping your risk significantly by having another surgery now. And what I mean by your risk of being unhappy and really fucking up a good thing. So my advice is do not do anything until you really need to. And hopefully that won't be for many years.
Got it. Okay, so I guess my final two questions, and I appreciate that. So I think, honestly, I will hold off for now. I don't plan. It was a complimentary consultation. So, but my two questions is, for now, just to add some density to the corners, around the temple, just like, where I got the original procedure. I was looking at different things, and so I'm probably not as familiar with hair loss as most of you're saying. I went in the first procedure a little ignorant. What kind of thing do you, hair fibers, what kind of thing do you recommend just as like a temporary thing?
Hair fibers could be great if they work with your hair. If you have enough hair in the hairline where you can use them correctly with a little hairspray and not where it doesn't look fake. If you finesse it right, it could really thicken up your hairline. 100%.
Okay.
I mean, the stuff could be magical if it's used correctly.
Right.
I'm testament to that.
And in terms of surgery, do you should I check back in a few years? What should I look out for if I potentially should would you ever recommend another surgery, or is it should go on finasteride first? What's the long term?
Surgery's the last resort. I mean, you use it as a first resort to correct what you thought was a recessed hairline. That may have been nature. You may have had just a mature hairline, or you've had it since you were 16. Again, you lucked out. If you actually start to miniaturize, and say you're assessed by Dr. Doran and he checks for miniaturization of the hair follicle, and he says, you know what, it looks like you're dealing with male pattern hair loss now, or male pattern baldness, that's when medication comes into play. But until you get that diagnosis, until you see a significant change, until you see, or even a minor change, if you start to see that your hairline is receding, or that you are seeing more hair being shed, on significant amounts of hair being shed, if you see thinning in the crown, then you're probably at the beginning throes of male pattern hair loss, that's when you start medication or consider it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as never having a transplant again, yeah, never say never. I mean, it may come a time when, all right, I lost more hair. This worked for me the first time. I'm going to have another one. But by that time, if that's the case, you will probably be prescribed medication to go along with the transplant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Even though you
so
said that you were prescribed it initially, and
I just used it for about a month. I just I don't even know. It wasn't side effects. I don't know, just the upkeep of taking it every day. And I was reading about side effects on the internet. So I was like, all right, it's probably not worth it. I don't need it.
If you don't need it, there's no point in taking it.
Right.
Of course.
All right, man. Listen, good luck. I'm glad you called.
Thanks so much.
All right, take care.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
All right. Good luck.
Man.
Such a downer show, man. We're talking to everyone out of surgery, and they're all getting kind of down and upset about it. It's like, we're trying to help you, man.
That's it. Listen,
just looking out for you.
No surgery needed. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Whoa. Yeah. Cool. I got through. Here. Wasn't expecting that.
What's up?
How's it going? How you guys doing?
All right. Who is this?
My name's Jay from Colorado.
Hey, Jay. What's happening, man?
Oh, I'm just working on some homework stuff and was listening to the show. I've been trying to talk to you guys for a little bit, and don't worry, I'm not going to run any surgery by you.
Thank God.
But that, yeah, I have other problems to run by you.
Okay.
But yeah, I just kind of calling for some reassurance about my process. And so I'm 31, and I think I noticed, when I say diffuse, it's not on the sides at all. It's just on the top, diffuse thinning.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of I saw this forget his name, but somewhere in Denver, and they quickly ran the big three against me. It was get on finasteride, get on the shampoo, and minoxidil. And I got scared of all that, and I put it off for a while, and then I got on the shampoo, and that was good for a while, and maybe it just wasn't progressive enough. And then I started noticing it more probably last year. And so and then I did all these charades of I did a scalp treatment, and then I got on the laser cap.
To me, I have to say, and this is, I want you to take this in the spirit that it's meant, because it has nothing to do with you personally. But it's amazing that in 2021, it is still happening. Like you called it the charade. All the bullshit and snake oil and nonsense that's being sold on the internet. I mean, it's I'm just starting to. I'm being told I should do TikTok, and I go on TikTok and I'm watching all these videos from everybody, even hair transplant doctors, and I'm like, the bullshit that is being sold on social media. It is so intense and insane. Scalp massages and oils and essential oils and this and that. I'm just like...
People are just looking for an answer, and...
but no one stops to think, wait a second, why are there so many bald motherfuckers walking around if this shit worked?
Yeah.
It's not by choice, I tell you that, yeah.
Once you get a car, you start noticing everybody who has the same car. And I think I was pretty oblivious to people losing hair until I started noticing.
Yeah, that's common.
Oh yeah.
But that I still my friends think I'm silly, that it's not that obvious. And then you guys recently I tried topics, and it's it really is this night and day difference. It's amazing.
It's like crack for balding guys, man. It's incredible.
Yeah. So, I think I do 5 or 6 sprays, and I feel really good about it. But yeah, so I got on the laser cap and I stopped. And then just 3 months ago, I got on finasteride. And so I talked to Dr. Keene, who prescribed, the medication to me, and I started doing a quarter tab every other day.
Okay.
Okay.
And, initially, like, I didn't question what I was taking, but then you guys, I think a couple episodes ago, were talking about generic and brand, and it's actually a coincidence today. Like I just freaked out. I was like, I want the best optimal chance for whatever growth or sustainability, and so I got the brand today. And I just wanted, is that restarting the process? I just wanted a consistency with the medication.
It could be.
Taking, and I just kind of,
it could be restarting the process. That's the thing. I mean, did you see any noticeable changes when you were on generic?
Well, since being on it with my hair, it's kind of subtle. Like, I can't really tell. Like, I think maybe there's some awareness that's increased. Like, I feel like I notice, my hair is thinner or my facial hair is thicker, kind of stuff.
Okay. So have you had any adverse side effects?
No. Like, initially, I did feel like that nut pain, that subsided pretty quickly. And then a little fluctuation and increase, libido, which I think was an initial transition. And then now it's I don't notice any difference there.
Do you know the name, the brand of the generic? Do you know the pharmaceutical company that's manufacturing it?
Yeah, it was Aurobindo.
Okay. Here's my thing. Yeah, we are brand whores here at The Bald Truth. I've been taking brand forever. Jesus. I've been taking brand forever. And, there's no doubt that over the years, especially when I first realized it, and I don't know if Joe's in the same, if Joe realized it at the same time. I first realized it when Propecia finally they lost their patent, and more guys were using generic. There was a generic out of India called Finpecia forever, and it seemed like people were doing okay with that. But once people were switched from their brand to generic, all of a sudden, everyone started with this 5-year thing. Like, it stops, working at 5 years. And the truth of the matter is, it was because of that switch. Now, with that said, I know guys who are on generics for many years who have been consistently on the same generic who've done well. So it really depends on the medication that you take. You're already 3 months in. So it's possible that if you switch from the generic you're on to brand name, that you're going to go through telogen effluvium. Or it's possible that you're going to have all positive benefits. We just don't know. But it's a type of thing where, in my view, whatever you start with, you want to stick with until you see what's happening. You're able to make a real assessment of how you're doing with it. So right now, here's the positives. You're not having any adverse side effects. You're only 3 months in, so you're not going to notice any real improvement now anyway. Right. So you only have about another 3 months using this particular brand to see how to make a better assessment of how you're doing.
Okay.
And then if you don't feel like you're doing really well, then you can speak to Dr. Keene about switching and starting using brand name at that time. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I can do that, because she said that 3 months it should be stabilization, and 6 months if there was any kind of regrowth or thickening, that's when you would see it. So so give it the 6 months.
Yeah, for sure.
That I can do. Cool.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's it. And then one other thing is, this is, I don't know, I look at these transplant videos, and it's this hope-inspiring thing for, people who are losing hair. And I hear you guys talk, and it's you guys, aren't proponents of it unless it's a last resort. But then I see Joe's video, and the results are really incredible. The eugenics one was it's nuts. It's hard for people to not feel like that can be like a realistic option.
Well, that's the dichotomy of what we do.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, it's a fine. I can't even. Yeah, no, it is a dichotomy. I feel. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I feel conflicted sometimes when I make these videos because I don't want it to come across as, wow, everyone that goes to these places, insert clinic name here, is going to have a great result and they're going to be happy. I try to be clear that, these clinics that I create these videos about, they meet my standards for what I'm looking for in someone I want to be associated with. But that's it. Like, I'm not saying for everyone to go to these different clinics. I'm saying that if you do if you do want to find a clinic and you want to follow what I say, these are clinics that I think are worth considering. And there's more out there. I'm actually working with a few others that are wanting to come on board. But I'm not saying go have surgery. I'm not saying go have surgery with anyone, much less the people I'm working with. But I'm saying that if you are going to consider it, once you get through the process of dealing with your hair loss, figuring out about preventative measures, and then looking into the surgical options, and then realizing that surgery is surgery. Like there's no promises with it, or there shouldn't be any promises with it, except for the clinic's best effort. And then you finally come out on the other side where you're like, you know what, I think I want to give it a shot. Then these clinics are the ones that, in my opinion, based on the privileged information I'm given access to, when they apply and they get me what I'm looking for as far as their information, you're reducing your chances of being screwed up, but you're not eliminating them at all. Like, not even close.
And that's the whole premise of the IAHRS, and I've been trying to put this into people's minds for 20-some-odd years, but still, oh, he's an IAHRS member. I'm 100% guaranteed I'm going to get a good result. And every week for 23 years, I'm like, and the IAHRS has been, we are in our 20th year, I'm like, look, these are the guys that have the most consistent results. Any one of these guys can fuck you up. It's just the nature of cosmetic surgery. So if you decide to have surgery, this is the pool that you should be looking at when you are making your choice. That is it. We're doing the best possible job to get as many people together as possible to make the decision-making a little bit easier and a little less dangerous for you guys.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. Yeah, can you get an incredible transplant? For sure. But let me ask you this. I've been doing this for a very long time. There isn't a guy, and I know that people that Joe have worked for in the past have offered me free surgeries. I've had people all over the world, here in Los Angeles, they'll do my surgery for nothing. I could have multiple surgeries. I choose not to do it because I know what can go wrong, and I'm in a position now where I'm able to make myself at least look good enough where I'm comfortable. I don't want to fuck that up.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to jump at that. And I've actually had like a consult, and I was told that I'm not a good candidate because I have too much hair.
That's a good reason not to be a good candidate.
Yeah, I just think there's something about like having this as this like hopeful, thing in your back pocket. I like, okay, like, if things get like really horrible, like this is an option. It's like, it gives you some kind of optimism,
and it is an option. It's a genuine, it's a valid option if you understand the entire scope and all the possible pitfalls. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last note was that, I hear you guys talk a lot about like the history of transplants and, how it's like still like people are trying to get your money and there's still a lot of chance out there. But just maybe your thoughts on like the future of it and like the progression of transplants, because it is like there is like some amazing transformations. But I have to like think that like in 5 years, in 10 years, it's all moving forward. It's all advancing.
Honestly, there have been very few advancements in the last 20 years. That's just the way that it is. Now, 20 years ago, FUE was being performed. The Woods technique was being talked about online. Ray and his patients were on my show when I was actually living in New York doing the program out of WOR Radio in New York City. I had the first FUE patient ever to talk, at least on the air, that was out there for public consumption. And, people are marketing this as something that is state of the art or brand new, like, oh, this is a new procedure. This is something it's been happening for 20 years. Some of the devices are newer, but essentially, the tool is only as good as the hand that wields it. And there are doctors out there that can perform surgery as well with a handheld punch or a motorized handheld punch as they would with any other of these devices that are being marketed. It's all about a certain skill set. Here's the problem. Very few doctors are learning that skill set today. They are depending more and more on their staff to learn that skill set, or bring staff in to their practices who are told to them or who claim to know the skill set. So overall, the results are getting worse. And there's many more walking wounded than we've ever had in this field. So when you talk about advancements, maybe we'll get to the point where we're able to create more hair that could be transplanted, essentially multiplying hair or growing hair from cells that can then be reimplanted or transplanted into a person's scalp, giving someone kind of eliminating that finite donor supply and creating an endless donor supply. Right. That could be a real advance. But as far as the technique is concerned, not much has changed, man. What do you think, Joe?
I don't think not only has not much changed, nothing can really change, because when it comes to surgery, the goal is still the same as it was 60 years ago, moving hair from the back to the top or the front to, redistribute the hair in a way that creates the illusion of a full head of hair, or
illusion
as close
is key.
As close as we can get to it as possible. At this point, we've come full circle, because it all started with plugs, and now we're back with micro plugs, like plugs, and then plug surgery evolved into strip surgery, mini micrografting, which evolved into follicular unit transplant surgery, which by definition is strip surgery with the use of microscopes to dissect and refine the follicular units for the most natural results possible. After that, it went downhill, because when FUE came out with smaller punches than what they had back in the actual punch graft days, the FUT guys got it. They understood how to perform FUT at least to the point where, FUE, at least to the point where the result looked natural. We didn't have the problem that we have today with pluggy hairlines, because they understood how to make natural results using the microscopes. But then as the device manufacturers got more popular and started moving into the arena of plastic surgery clinics, or even, God forbid, dental clinics, where all they got to do is bring in this machine and fly in some techs that don't even live in the same city, much less the same state, and they're doing the surgery. The idea of using a microscope is completely foreign to them. It's a matter of extraction, implantation without any examination, much less refinement of those grafts for the natural results. There was no understanding of the concept of, reducing the extraction impact as much as possible in the donor region by spreading out the extraction zone. No matter how small the surgery is, spread it out as wide as possible so that you don't have a visible reduction of density that indicates surgery is performed. None of that's considered. None of that's even on the radar for the majority of clinics operating today in North America, in Europe, in Asia, you name it. The majority of the clinics in that area are doing it the wrong way. So what we've got hope for now, I mean, there's back on the FUE front, there was refinements. There are better tools, but it just comes down to
this poor guy hanging on. This poor guy.
Not so much smaller punches.
Sorry, Joe.
Well, he asked. Not so much smaller punches.
I mean, like, I'm happy.
Dude, this guy's getting the education of a lifetime here, and it's free.
Just being able to use the tools that you have. Like 10 years ago, if you had something smaller than a 1 millimeter punch, you're a fucking wizard. You're a magician. But I got to tell you, even with a 1 millimeter punch, you can do some amazing things. Especially if you got some microscopes that can take those grafts that are taken out and refine them down into the proper sizes. And you don't need to leave a visible impact, like visible scarring, visible extraction patterns, even with a 1, or God forbid, even a 1.2 millimeter punch. I said it. You can have great results with a big punch like that, as long as you know what you're doing, because the tool is only as good as the hand that wields it. But for the future, I don't, like, it's going to be micro little adjustments that some clinics will understand how to use, some won't, and in the grand scheme of things, they'll be meaningless. So the future isn't surgery. The future is cell therapy. The future is regenerative medicine combined with what we know how to do with regards to surgery. And eventually, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, we'll be able to get an injection of cells and regrow hair.
Now, I'll tell you what I do think is exciting.
That's the future.
That no one is paying attention to. And I posted it in a private physicians WhatsApp group. There was a study that came out in the Journal of Nature. A Stanford group, a PhD student, actually, and a group of docs were experimenting with a drug that's currently on the market. And the drug is used for like macular degeneration and for like light therapy to kind of reverse and to improve macular degeneration and some other eye diseases. Long story short, they injected this into the perimeter and on the edges of wounds, of course on mice to begin with. Now they're working on pigs. And they were able to wound these animals, and some of them were significant, including punctate wounds. And once they injected this medication into the skin, that wound healed completely with no scar tissue and regrew hair follicles. Now they're working on mice. Now, that alone would change the game, not only in cosmetic surgery and, for burn victims, and, I mean, it would be huge. But it may actually take, in my view, it may take FUE out of the game for a while again. It may change things around. If this actually worked, why wouldn't guys just want to take a strip? I mean, besides altering the integrity of the scalp, you could do, after 2 or 3 strips, but take a strip. You put that under magnification and dissect the grafts, in 3D, and then be able to heal this wound with no scarring and regrow hair in that area again to possibly be reused for a future strip. To me, that's a possibility of what we're going to see in the future if this actually gets to market. And I think that they're trying to fast track it now because, at least with burn victims and other people who are wounded in accidents and stuff like that. So that's a possibility that no one's talking about yet in the hair loss world. I don't know why, because this study just came out and it's major. So if you're looking for a hopeful future, that may be it. That could be an answer. That could be an answer. Yeah, that could be an answer to unlimited donor right there.
Yeah, it's good to hear you guys both talk about like the hopefulness. I think you're doing great work. Preventing a lot of damage and emotional trauma. But I work in the medical field, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, how can we do this, but yet we still have people who are struggling with like their hair. So. Well, I'll maintain my hair for 15 years for those injections.
Dude, listen, man, you sound like you're in a pretty good position. I wish you the best of luck. Let us know what happens in 3 months if you decide to stay on generic or if you decide to go on brand name.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to stay on the generic for now, and then we'll see what it looks like.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks for everything.
All right.
Great.
All right.
You got it, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
Oh, why am I tired? You know why? I had a bagel today. That's a bad move, man.
Oh, God. That is a bad move.
You
know what I did? Oh,
yeah.
I am not happy about this. I'm not proud of it. But night before last,
Ladyboy?
Wednesday night, not during a pandemic, man.
You said you were not happy with
There's
it.
a pandemic going on.
You're not proud
Come
of it.
on.
Go ahead.
Jesus. There was pizza involved. Late night pizza. Because mail order was jonesing. Because she's on this, this nutrition kick like I am. And she was getting hangry.
Oh, man.
Hungry, angry. Long day of work. And it's like, and what am I supposed to do? Say no?
Yeah, listen.
So we did it. We did it. We had a pizza. A big one.
That's all right.
Pepperoni. Cheese. Oh, yeah. It was good.
Dude, I love pizza, man. I love pizza.
Fucking
I
love
love
pizza.
I love
yeah.
bourbon and pizza.
At the same time. Exactly.
And for a while, that was my downfall. You could see it. You can watch the videos over the years of like bourbon and pizza Spence, no bourbon and pizza Spence. Bourbon and pizza Spence, no bourbon and pizza Spence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm an old wrestler. And then I got back to my normal size.
Yeah. You're an old wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thankfully, 2 days later, I'm only a pound heavier than I was on the morning of Pizza Apocalypse. So I handled it well. I've already emptied 2 of these full of water today, so it's all flushed out.
Well,
I'm back on track. I had my
everything
bison
bagel.
steak for the day.
I had an everything bagel with a schmear. And let me tell you, man, that was fucking delicious. But I feel it. I feel it. It's like, it's unbelievable. When you are eating clean and then you go for the bread.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm not even done. It's just like, so this is why I was retarded for so many years. Nothing wrong with being retarded, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't even say that anymore. Isn't the definition just like, slower than, I don't know the exact definition, but essentially slowing a process or being slower in general on a process? Isn't that what retarded means? Or
something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was.
You know what? I mean, there's a new definition for everything, depending on, which month. So who knows what it means now?
Well, all I can tell you is...
Well...
all I can tell you is I'm looking forward to the upcoming potential governor race here in California.
That'll be fun to watch. It'll be a nice distraction.
'Cause I got to tell you,
for sure,
I think Caitlin has a real chance.
I know. Look, what of all the states out there, what state better to run for as governor as, what's the term?
Trans person.
Yeah. Like, what better state than California? If you can't win that in California, then you're doing something wrong.
She's also a fucking Olympian. Let's not forget about that.
Exactly.
When people refer to Caitlyn Jenner as former reality star, whatever, I'm just like, what happened to the Olympian aspect? This woman
exactly
won the goddamn triathlon.
Yeah.
As a dude. I mean, that
as
alone,
a dude.
Yeah, that alone is amazing. That is you talk about an accomplishment. Jesus. Let's take another call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
A finasteride a day keeps a hair transplant doctor away.
What's happening, man? Who's this?
Hey, there's Connor, Oklahoma.
Connor, what's happening, man?
Connor, what's up, buddy?
Just not much, guys. I was like listening on the whole last call.
Good.
Like,
okay.
That got me thinking. Like, since you said that a fluvium could happen if you switch from one thing to another, I have like a plan. Like after like my second bottle of finasteride from Keeps, I'm planning on just going to the ProScar because it's cheaper. And will an effluvium happen if I do that?
We don't know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we don't know.
Very much different. Because okay.
It may
It's,
not
like,
be very different. I mean,
I'm sure.
the molecular structure is supposed to be pretty close, but who knows where it's being manufactured? Who knows if making that change is going to benefit you or at least in the short term cause a little bit of an effluvium? We just don't know. Some people's transition and it's nothing but good.
That's good.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, you want to know what's funny?
I would.
Okay, I actually didn't even come to any of the streams. I just went home, typed in your number, and then I came on. Literally.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, because I haven't been on the internet for a whole week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I'm glad you made it and you were able to ask your question, and you know that you were able to hold on and listen to that phone call.
Mm-hmm. I was like, dang, is he going to be the last one? It's almost 6 o'clock.
Well, you're the last one, man. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, if that's your plan, that's your plan.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not worrying. I'm just saying that I was like curious if that would happen.
I don't have a crystal ball, but there's always a possibility. Anytime you make a change in your protocol, in your medical, your drug regimen, it's possible that something's going to change. And when it comes to hair, it's just the way that it is.
Except if it's like a low laser light therapy you're adding.
You never know. I've had people like this guy. This guy called in, a caller, 2 or 3 callers ago, said that he believes that LLLT, low level laser light therapy, caused him to lose his parietal humps, the higher region of his balding wreath.
Joe from Staten Island thought that it had thinned out his hair transplants, his plugs.
Actually, to the point where he said that it destroyed his life, and he stopped calling the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of that, and because of Joe Tillman.
Yeah, because he hates me, but
who doesn't?
It just conveniently started happening the same time I became the regular co-host. Just conveniently so.
Because your name is Joe.
No, because I'm not him. I'm not him.
Oh. The more popular Joe now, I guess.
Look, man, Joe from Staten Island was
pretty popular.
This guy, when we were on the radio, people knew who this guy was. I mean, I would be stopped. When I was stopped here, when I first moved to California, I was actually on radio, and I was on a very big station. So, like, when I went to the car dealer to set up to get a car, when I first, I leased an apartment when I first moved out here, these people knew who I was. It freaked me out. And everyone asked me if Joe from Staten Island was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the question. Is this guy for real or is that an act? I'm like, no, man, this is a real dude.
Real dude.
I was actually surprised to see you in a video. It's like a video with like 1.1 million views, and it's like a scientific video, like why people go bald, and then you're like in the video clip for like 10 seconds.
Why should you be surprised, man? I'm the bald guy. That's what I do.
Well, not necessarily the bald guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm the guy. I am the guy that came out.
He's the OG.
That came out and admitted that balding sucks. It fucked me up, and everyone else is being fucked up too by this industry. And back in the day, when you were a young kid doing that, that was not a sexy job. I have to say, when I think about it now, it just came as second nature to me to do it. Took a lot of fucking balls because I got a lot of shit from everybody. People made either from making fun of me to not knowing what's going on to people just like hating me for being honest about the industry.
Connor, you got to understand that Spencer Kobren is the guy that wrote a book about hair loss, and it's the most successful book in the world. It's been translated into I don't know how many languages.
5.
And it was a #1 bestseller for a long time.
I remember I saw the book.
That's
why when you see a video with him that's got lots of views, it's like exactly. It's like, I mean, it's not surprising to me because I know the history. Like he's not just some schmuck that's got that's on YouTube. I'm the schmuck that's on YouTube. He's the guy that's actually like mainstream media for years.
I'm the schmuck who's piggybacking off of the schmuck who's on YouTube.
Long-term guy. He's been on there way long.
Well, let's put it this way.
That's another way of saying old.
How old are you, man? 19?
Yeah.
I was only about 10 years older than you when I got into this.
Man, 29. That's crazy, dude.
So I've been doing this for a long time. So, all right, Connor, man, we're gonna let you go. We have a full board. I think we have time for maybe one last call. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Okay. I just want to let you know that there was a chance that back in like 98, 99 or 2000, my dad could have like saw your radio shows.
Wow.
He could have. There's a chance.
There is a chance.
Yeah.
And
okay,
if he did, let us know. I'd be curious.
All right.
All right, man. You take care. Always good talking to you.
Hi.
You guys.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Take care, Connor.
Bye.
You're overheated in this
Good
room.
kid.
I like Connor. Want to take one call and call it a night? One last call?
Yeah, let's do one more.
All right. Okay, last caller. You were on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Dude.
Hello?
Hey, hello. Can hardly hear you.
Okay, almost. Hello?
You sound like you are speaking out of a tin can.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
I'm calling from Ireland. I don't know if you can hear me well now.
Oh, hey, man. I hear you a little bit better.
It's a little better.
Okay, that's good.
So what's happening, man?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
What's your name?
John.
John from Ireland. Welcome. Where in Ireland are you?
Hello, John.
Yeah. Dublin.
Dublin. All right.
Dublin. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling. What can we help you with?
So I'm young, 21-year-old, and I've been struggling with the balding thing for a few years now.
Okay.
Okay.
I was on finasteride last year, but I got off it because I wasn't experiencing any side effects, but it was kind of psychological. I was a bit worried that I could, so I became a bit paranoid.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always on my head, so for that reason I had to cut it out. So then, my hair loss got worse and worse. So I was thinking of getting on oral minoxidil, but I'm not really sure about the safety behind it. So that was my question.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm sorry that you went through that because so many guys. We don't make any money talking about finasteride on this program, but so many guys get on the drug initially, have no adverse side effects, and just keep reading about it or worrying about the possibility of side effects. It's kind of like if you were told to take an aspirin, you had a heart condition or the potential for, a heart condition, you need to thin your blood out. someone my age, and you were prescribed a baby aspirin once a day, most patients would take that and be like, "Yeah, it's just a baby aspirin. What can it do?" But the thing is, there's a heavy possibility of long-term adverse side effects, including bleeding of the brain, shit like that no one thinks about. They'll just pop that aspirin because their doctor's saying, "Take this, you're going to avoid having a heart attack." Mm-hmm. This is a drug that literally has the least number of side effects ever listed in the physician's desk reference, ever, out of any medication known to man that's prescribed to date. And more people are fearful of this drug and the possibility of adverse side effects, even if they're not getting it, than I would say any other drug on the market today. So I just feel that it's a disservice to young guys who've, especially once they ingested it already and they've took that chance and that leap of faith to have the fear of to get off it and then be in your position where you're losing ground and you're thinking on getting on another medication which can cause even more severe adverse side effects. What do you think about my statement, Joe? I wasn't really listening.
I agree 100%. You weren't listening to what you said?
No, you weren't listening. So here's the thing. You want to get on oral minoxidil. There has been a lot of talk about oral minoxidil for the treatment of hair loss lately. A lot of it was sparked at the Global Hair Loss Summit this year. There was a Spanish physician who did a great talk on it, and all of a sudden, within weeks, a lot of the guys across the country and around the world are now prescribing it on a regular basis to their patients, and they're seeing good results. But there is a chance of lowering your blood pressure, possible heart palpitations and other issues. There's a chance of water retention, facial bloating, things of that nature. That's part of the risk of taking the drug. And we don't know what the long-term adverse effects are going to be for young guys taking this medication for the long term. Probably not much, at least according to the doctors and the experts. But as with any drug, this drug comes with the possibility of side effects.
It's just that with finasteride,
Say that again. You're breaking up.
Effect that it has on me. Could you hear me?
I could barely hear you. Speak again.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Barely. Try it again. We'll give you one more shot. Now we can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's with finasteride. It's the fact that it affects the hormones. That's what worries me about it. Because I know that oral minoxidil at the low dose, I know it can fluctuate my blood pressure a bit, but that doesn't really make me feel or give me anxiety. That the thought of finasteride, I don't know, changing my mood, even if it probably didn't.
No, listen, I understand that. Let me ask you a question. How old are you again?
Yeah.
How old are you again?
21. He's 21.
Okay.
20.
Okay. Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Okay. Have you had a girlfriend that's that you're having sex with on the regular basis?
Yeah.
Okay. Was your girlfriend using birth control?
No.
Okay. Well, my point is that young women, take oral birth control, hormonal birth control, like it's candy, that really completely changes their hormonal profile in a way that doesn't even come close to finasteride. And no one talks about that, ever. And it's being prescribed to young women like candy. So I just kind of want to put that in perspective that, it really depends on, your risk-benefit ratio in your mind. We know that finasteride is the one drug that we know that actually will, in most cases, stop the progression of your hair loss. I understand your concern about fucking with your hormones. I really do. Mm-hmm. But there should be a real concern. There should be a real concern about risking, the other risk factors that are involved with oral minoxidil as well.
Yeah, no, I understand. I found myself in a bit of like a dilemma because the fact of losing my hair gives me anxiety, but also the fact of taking the medicine to stop it gives me anxiety as well. So it's kind of, I don't know, I find myself a bit trapped in that sense. So I thought maybe with oral minoxidil, since, I don't know, because it's all, like, it didn't have side effects with finasteride. It's just the thought of having side effects.
I understand.
Doesn't help me to be in peace. Like, I can't live my life like that. Because I'm very hypochondriac, I admit it. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry that you suffered with that, and it's very real. I would say that the important thing is that you have this conversation with your doctor, and we do know that oral minoxidil has helped many people, and it could possibly help you. So if you feel more comfortable taking that as opposed to finasteride, and you're working with a physician who's going to monitor you, then and he or she agrees to prescribe it, then I would say, as far as psychologically for you, it seems like you'll be in a better position. All right, man. We can't hear you, so I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck, and try to call back again if you need any more help when you can get through on a better line.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys who are holding on, we're going to go, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Got stuff to do.
Sorry, we got to unplug the phones. Now, look, it's a high-class problem.
Call back next week.
Yeah, to be so busy. But I want you to know that also, if you guys can't get through to the live broadcast, you can always call the UK show, especially if you are overseas, on Fridays. And you can contact me directly through my Instagram at Spencer Kobren. But you got to follow me. Just take the time to follow me at Spencer Kobren. You could also go to specshair.com and contact Specs. The UK show is aired on apetoGentleman.com. You could check that out. So if you can't get through this live broadcast, there are other options where you can get through to us. Joe won't be there, but, me and Specs will be there. So
I don't have to be there. Specs does a fine job.
He does. I'm just saying.
It's all good.
If you want to hear from Joe, he's not going to be there. That's not his gig.
I won't be there. Yeah. And again, like I could see in the chat room today, it's like, how do I call from Europe? Well, how would you normally call someplace in the States using Skype? Yeah. Now you can call the UK show. Actually, I don't know if people keep missing this, but the UK number, which can reach this show as well, which you guys are, I think you're using it for the UK show.
Yeah.
It's down in the description of every broadcast that we do.
And it's local. It's a London phone number.
I guess you should start flashing that on the screen a little more often, though, because people aren't looking at the description; they're just looking on the screen where it's the U.S. number.
I have to put that into my Stream Deck, because otherwise it's like I got to go in here, I got to do this.
You got to work for it. I get it. You got to work for it.
There's a UK number, and then I got to go back to our number.
Just got to press some buttons.
So, Joe, I'm going to let you give out the websites, if you're good with that.
Sure.
All right.
For the websites, starting off, look, guys, if there are no guarantees with surgery, no matter which clinic you go to, but a great place to start is the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, IAHRS.org. A lovely collection of clinics that I use as a basis for anyone that I consider working with, which you can find on hairtransplantmentor.com. You like that segue?
I do.
American Hair Loss Association, the de facto standard for mass media worldwide that's looking for validation on the information that they are putting out in any hair loss related story, again, worldwide. American Hair Loss Association, it is the de facto standard. Even Mayo Clinic, Wall Street Journal, you name it, if there's a legitimate organizations talking about hair loss, they're going to mention American Hair Loss Association. The forums, baldtruthtalk.com, the single most trafficked forum on hair transplant surgery in the interwebs. But don't go to the forums because they're a toxic place, guys. I mean,
Forums suck, yo.
Anonymous people giving you shit about your own decision. What's the motivation? We don't know.
Here's what I do.
We don't know.
Check out the forum. Go on there, just like check it out a little bit. It gives us traffic. It's good for us. It's good for the show. And you can see some great before and after images. You can maybe interact with some people.
Yeah.
Don't spend too much time on these places. And honestly, do not listen to any anonymous person on the forum, ever, on any forum there is, including Bald Truth Talk. Go ahead, Joe.
Yes. On top of that, what else we got? We've got, if you're not watching this on my YouTube channel, if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes or what are the other outlets that we're broadcasting through?
Stitcher, all those places.
Stitcher, GFQ Network. You can come to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. I am 3 subscribers away from hitting the magical 20,000, and once I do, I will be making the video talking about the winner that I've picked for 1-year supply of Grow MD shampoo. So I'm probably going to have to make it tonight or maybe tomorrow.
I heard you're going to take off your hairpiece live on the air.
Yes, I am. The one on my head and on my chest.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. I think that's it. Did I miss anything?
I don't even know. I wasn't even listening. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
right,
so dude, guys who are listening to the broadcast, not watching the show, or guys who, for whatever reason, are just watching on thebaldtruth.com and didn't click through to watch it on Joe's page, subscribe now. Let's get that 20,000. It's going to help a lot of people.
Also, don't forget to like this video. How many do we have? How many likes do we have? We got.
I'm not even looking at the thing.
35 likes, guys. Why aren't we at 50 likes? Don't you appreciate the fact that we're sitting here for free for 2 hours every Friday out of our busy days? Yeah. Like, thank God it's Friday, right? Not for us. We're working.
Yeah. No one
for
gives
you.
a shit, really. It's all about them.
No
man.
one gives a shit.
It's all about them.
Me. I had a guy contact me on Instagram, and he said, "Can I ask you some questions?" And I said, "Yes." And then I fell asleep because it was late last night. And I wake up this morning, and there's like question marks from the guy. Like, he asked the question, and then there's question marks after it. Like, dude, I'm waiting. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm fucking sleeping. It's like me. Give me. I got you now, so I want everything. Give me. It's like, no. Let me at least sleep. People.
I had made a comment on a plastic surgeon's profile. And this guy was really one of the only guys that have come out publicly to talk about the real problems with fillers. He came on Plastic Surgery Live when I was doing that pilot show for a while to talk about the dangers of fillers and the reality that he would never have fillers injected into his face or to anyone that he loved. And these are the reasons why. So he did another video talking about that there was a meeting about this, and I happened to comment on it. And to tell people the reality of whatever it is, and to say bravo to this guy. Well, let me tell you, if women didn't contact me through Instagram, it was insane. And I had this one chick, she was nice, but she's a young girl. I ended up looking at her profile, very, pretty type of Instagram person. And the question was, will I age myself, will my skin age if I have my fillers dissolved? And I explained the process and essentially took the time to really make a nice response and laying her fears. And I was like, okay, thanks a lot. Boom. And that was it. Off she goes.
And blocked you.
Yeah. Off she goes. I'm like, listen,
thanks,
honey.
Creepy old man.
Listen, honey, I'm not going to stalk you, honey. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Thanks, old dude.
Old creepy dude. There's a little too much about my plastic surgery.
There's a little bit too much about fillers for a guy in the hair business, which is creepy enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they just want it. They want just enough that they can take, and then that's it. Which I'm actually fine with.
Fucking people, though, man.
I know.
I got a lot of stories, and I'm going to one before we go is guy calls me from Detroit on the radio, FM talk station in Detroit. Killer. We actually were heard all the way up in Canada. Calls in, says that he had went to one of these laser clinics. He was charged $3,500, and he was supposed to get a money back guarantee. It didn't work, and that was all the money that he had. He couldn't even pay his rent. He didn't know what to do, and he was waiting for this refund, and he wouldn't get it. So stupid Spencer's like, you know what? Maybe I can help this motherfucker out. So I said, give me the name of the clinic. On my own time, I call up this clinic. I'm like, listen, this dude called the show. It's on this station. You know, he's talking about feeling that he's been ripped off. It's probably best maybe if you can work something out with him, because I know the guy's going to call again, and it's not great for your business. So this guy, who I never met before, said, thank you for calling me. I'll give him a refund right away. Guy writes me an email who got the refund, thanks me. I said, you know what? Do me a favor. Just call the show to talk about it. It would definitely benefit people. And it kind of shows them what we do, you know, for the consumer. And he writes me, you know, I really want to put this in my past.
Yeah, I really want to put this behind me.
Yeah, I want to put this behind me. It's going to stir up some anxiety for me. I'd rather not call the show again.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell you how many times.
I'm done with this.
I can't even tell you, how many times shit like that has happened to me. So fuck all.
Well, even last year, my hair transplant didn't work out. I want a refund. Don't really do that. But you know what? I'll mention it to the clinic that, you know, maybe it at least would be a good gesture. Nothing. Radio silence.
Really?
For even the effort. Radio silence.
Oh, I've made the effort, and if it succeeds, it's radio silence sometimes, and if it fails, it's radio silence and bitterness.
And bitterness. Got another one that stands out. Guy contacted me. Doctor in Chicago. Fucked him up.
Oh, I remember this one.
And the doctor had actually contacted me not long earlier, asking if he could be a part of Hair Transplant Mentor. And I didn't say no. I wasn't going to accept him because I wasn't crazy about his work. But I didn't say no. I just kind of, you know, politely kept him at a distance for a while. And then patient contacts me saying, hey, I had a surgery with this doctor. Really unhappy with the way it turned out. Turns out it was poor growth and poor donor management. And I told the guy, did he promise you anything with the result? Well, yeah, he promised it would be fantastic. Okay, great. Well, it didn't. But was there, you know, did he make the mistake of giving you some sort of money back guarantee? Well, no. It's like, okay, well, still, what do you want me to do? He goes, well, can you at least maybe talk to him and see if he can work with me on, you know, some, like even a partial refund? I'm like, well, I'll talk to the guy. So I talked to the guy. I talked to the doctor. And I said, I know you probably don't do this, but the guy's in a bad situation. And he'd really like for you to at least consider, and he asked me to speak to you on his behalf, some sort of partial refund. So not only did I heard from the patient again, but that doctor actually had his attorney send me a letter saying that they think that I'm actually in cahoots with the patient and I'm charging patients a percentage of the refunds if I can get them a refund.
Yeah, that doctor could go fuck himself.
Yeah, he can, and that's basically what I told him. Go fuck yourself. But the patient said, "Yeah, I'm in discussions with a doctor. It's probably best I don't talk to you anymore."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, you're welcome. Like, I tried, and I'm the one being attacked now.
It's my turn.
So you
It's
go
my
fuck
turn.
yourself too.
I had a guy who contacted me. I had multiple phone calls with him. He seemed very reasonable. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, sorry you're in this situation. Let's try to adjudicate things. Let's try to help you out, whatever it is. I made some phone calls for him. The physician was in contact with him, and then they lost contact. And then this guy writes me essentially saying, well, either I get my $35,000 back or I want him removed from your organization.
I remember that one. I know that one.
And I was just like,
yes.
Here we go again. And then this doctor contacts him after I contact the doctor. This guy contacts him and he writes me, oh, the doctor contacted me. I'll no longer need your services, essentially. And you know what? That guy ruined it for everybody because after 23 years of this bullshit, I'm just like, sorry, guys, you want an issue adjudicated? That's what the courts are for. Good luck. You had my ear. You had the ability to possibly be helped. We try to act as a liaison to help you guys out. Not the fucking doctors, but you guys. That shit is over. Goodbye.
Done.
First Ray Woods patient to be considered a repair patient here in the U.S. Promoted on all the websites. Guy came in from Rhode Island into WOR radio. I allowed him into the studio when I was actually on the radio. Some stranger who got fucked up in Rhode Island. And he was a mess. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in person, to be honest with you. Like a porcupine. Yeah. Old plugs.
Yeah.
He said no one in the organization said he went to every IHR's doctor, no one could fix him. I said, you know what? This is experimental. But I was just introduced to a guy contacted me from Australia. His name is Dr. Ray Woods. And I think if you're willing to go down there, he may be able to help you. I can't guarantee anything. Well, long story short, Ray Woods was able to restore this guy's life. Restore his life. Change his life.
The most famous patient ever.
The most famous patient ever. Advocated for FUE and Ray Woods, you know, or the Woods technique online like you could never believe. Turned on me all of a sudden because of two things, but one reason is he believed, because sadly Ray Woods believed this, which was insane. It was a real projection moment for this poor guy, that I somehow wanted to interfere with his ability to get the Woods technique throughout North America because I was in bed with the strip butchers. When it was me who introduced it to everybody. I mean, this is the illness, in my view, that we deal with day in and day out. And the one guy who feeds the chickens would never have been able to get repaired ever by Dr. Prasanga if Ray and I didn't have those conversations. And I didn't have that conversation with the feral man who then sent his brother to Australia, who lived in Australia, to go check out the Woods technique so he can come back and tell me it's legit, and then I can have his patient on, and then it could be put online. None of this would have happened. And that's the story of me.
There you go. Good night.
Good night.
There's some inside baseball for everyone.
But I'm not bitter. All right, guys, on that note, be strong. God bless. It was a great show, by the way. God bless, and we will see you next time. Take it easy.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be